Welcome to Season 4 of Casting Confidential. This season arrives at a pivotal moment. Casting is now formally recognized by both the Academy Awards and the Critics' Choice Awards. Across the season, I'm joined by actors shaping today's film and television landscape, award-recognized casting directors, and industry leaders to break down how casting actually works, who gets in the room, how decisions are made, and what moves careers forward. No mythology, no guesswork, just honest conversations about the process. And if you want deeper access to this work, bonus episodes, extended conversations, and live discussions, you can join the Casting Confidential community on Patreon. This is Casting Confidential. Actors, you need to rehearse or record a self-tape, but you don't always have somebody around to read with. Well, I think I found a solution for you. It's called the Raffi app. Raffi is an app that scans your sides and lets you rehearse with realistic reader voices. There are over 60 of them, so you can run scenes on your own anytime. It also has an optional teleprompter built in, works in multiple languages, includes a web version, and even has its own script library called Playhouse, where you can practice scenes and showcase your work on social media. Whether you're rehearsing, memorizing, or recording a self-tape, Raffi gives you control over your process without having to wait for anyone else. Check it out at raffi.app. That's RAFY.app. And make sure you use the special code confidential15 to get 15% off. That's confidential15. I'll drop that code in the show notes. Hey, you Casting Confidential listeners. If Casting Confidential has helped you better understand the casting process, there's now a way to go deeper. On Patreon, we're sharing bonus episodes, extended conversations, and live Q&As built specifically for actors who want real clarity, not industry noise. You can join the Casting Confidential community at patreon.com/Casting Confidential. We'd love to see you there.
Let's go.
Welcome back to Casting Confidential, the Roundtable. Our Roundtable panel today consists of our esteemed casting directors, Robin Carus, Cheryl Louden-Kubin, and Kimberly Skyrme. Today, we're talking about one of the hardest truths for actors, why you didn't get a callback even when the work was excellent. This is not about failure, it's about context. And most of it all has nothing to do with you. So let's get into it, guys. I mean, this is how often do we get asked this question?
All the time. Yeah. And we've talked about the idea that, sometimes booking the room is equal to booking that job, because if you book the room, you get called back for other gigs and projects by not just the casting director, but the director. And if there's a choreographer or something like that. So, and like half of the time, it could be that they're looking for this size person to match with this person in the cast. And, they're kind of looking for a family, and you have to put the family together in a certain way. And so, it's things that are outside your control. You can only look the way you look, and, and have the height you have, and, and that's it.
Yeah, and I expect everybody's auditions to be excellent, right? I expect to see excellent tapes across the board. And so you can only send maybe 10 people forward. If everybody's excellent, then it has to come down to nitpicky stuff like the technical aspect, how you pair up with the other people aspect. I mean, there is so much that is out of your control. What you can control is the audition that you present, and that you're proud of the product that you're sending forward. And we will, like Robin said, we will remember that. You will book the room.
And also, I mean, we've all seen this like a million and one times, but let's say we're bringing actors in for a chemistry read with someone else. They could be the most excellent actor, but it's just not right, the connection with the other person is not there. And it doesn't mean that they have failed. It just means it wasn't there. And that's exactly what we needed. We needed to figure out who reads. Like, let's say forget about being romantic. Let's say it's even like a father and a son or a grandfather and a grandson, and you need that connection between two people, and you're not getting the vibe. The actor could be beyond excellent and it's just not the fit. And it doesn't mean that they're terrible, just not this one.
There is so many variables. Of course, we are only sending, the great audition. So if somebody did knock it out of the park in the audition, that all the variables everybody's discussed could be there. But back to Robin's point, I think the most important one is if you book the room, we're always going to remember you. We're going to pop you to the top of the list the next time. Or the director is going to remember you potentially for another episode, because that certainly has happened.
And you don't want to have the attitude like, oh, I read for them and I didn't get a call back and I didn't get booked. So I'm not going to read for them again because they don't like me. Well, if we ask you to read over and over again, it means we definitely like you and you're producing good work. So take that as a compliment. We want you to succeed. We think you're right for the role. So read for us, please, over and over again.
How many
Yes, I think that is a great point. The more we call, it's because we like you.
I get calls from agents telling me that so and so's not going to read for you anymore because you never book her, and I'm like, well, yeah. I call her in.
It's not our position to book you. It's not we're presenting you. We direct the casting.
Well, which is important just in general for actors to remember. The bar by which you should be judging is how many calls you are getting and then callbacks. Like if we are calling you back, that's even the next step up because there is so many variables, as we've discussed, that go into the actual final selection that if you are basing your career on final selection, you will always be disappointed because it's just not a good marker of your work and your success and your improvements. Your improvements are shown by us consistently calling you back because there's so few spots for the number of, and now again, the number of audition tapes that we are watching, which is far greater than ever of the days of seeing actors in the room. You are up against more competition now. So getting the call back and even getting the audition request in the first place is a big deal.
I once had a situation where I was working on a project and the actor and the writer who knew each other, they had a little bit of friction at some point, didn't see eye to eye. So when I called in for this actor, and it was a request, the actor said through their agent, is it cool? Are we, is it going to be okay? I guess he wanted to know the temperature of the room. So I decided to call the writer and I said, hey, I know that this was a request, but, given whatever your history was, I have no idea what the deal is it going to be a-okay? And the writer said, yes, yes, yes. I really do want to see this person. And so it just goes to show that sometimes it's the talent. Now, I think that what happens like in a situation like that, first of all, you have to show up and you have to show up on time. So it gives no one a reason to like yap about you, negatively. And I think that if you go in and you do your work, then you're golden, or as golden as you're going to be, because then you get the fair shot like everybody else. So, in the case of this actor, obviously the writer was totally cool. And so there you have it. So,
well, and ironically, I've had a little bit of the opposite of that situation happen too. That with this, if you didn't get the job, like writers, directors, they'll request an actor that they think they want. And then as creative collaborators, us casting people, we throw somebody cool into the mix. And then they feel bad that they don't want to hire that friend of theirs that they liked because we presented something better. So sometimes, even when you think you're a shoo-in, that somebody may come along that was just, as I always say, telling the story better that day because the best storyteller gets the job. So,
It's so many little details. It could be timing, it could be location, it could be the color of your skin, not to, but it's like let's say you're doing a family and the family starts out one race and then all of a sudden they change to another race. Well, those kids are going to have to look different. That's just a simple thing. And you may have had a great person in the first round in the kids, but now we got to shift that. And
I I will tell you, I don't know if you all have been through this too, but I've worked with creatives that, let's say there's even an agent that reps an actor that they really don't want to deal with. And so they'll say, no, they're lovely, but I can't deal with this if we have to book them. And so, and that's the thing, because if the agent is too troublesome and really makes life difficult as you're trying to negotiate even the simplest of a deal, then that's like, it really is a deal breaker for the unfortunate actor who's giving their all and just trying to get a gig.
That is unfortunate. Yeah. And in that instance, I might say to the actor, hey, you almost got this, but dot, 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 just to help them out a little, because obviously in future situations, it may work against them as well. I once had a director who, a gal was great. I think it was for a national commercial. She stood to make hundreds of thousands of dollars on this over the course of residuals. And she was amazing, but she looked so much like his ex-wife
This happens.
that he just could not have her on the set. I just can't. I'm like,
and thank God there are other great choices.
right.
Unfortunately or fortunately, as you said, you expect all these auditions to be great.
I do.
I love that expectation. I do too, but I can't say it out loud because it doesn't always happen. But
the anecdotals along, Cheryl's story along the same lines that I had cast for a speaking role on something that was briefly going to pop in and out of DC. And we had cast everything, great auditions. And at the last minute, oops, director's wife, who's also an actor, could be in town that day. So, great auditions, but the director's wife comes in. Or like you do all these great auditions, they have their last people down their pin, and then they don't come to your city because it's cheaper to stay in Canada. So like these are many reasons why you can do an amazing job in your audition and still not get the job.
And for you as an actor, your job is to produce the best audition with the talents that you have, with the information that we've given you. And that is your job. That is the job until you move on to the next step, which is the callback or the booking or being on set. Your job is to audition right now.
let's talk about taking away your emotions from this whole equation. I get you guys are feeling people. We all are. And we don't like to say no, but we're going to more often say no than yes. So hence is why we don't call you when it's a no. It would kill us. Yeah, but yeah, but you've got, it's a business.
Yeah, and about the emotions, it's not that you shouldn't feel, what you feel about these things, but it's really then having, good mental health around why it didn't happen, and that it shouldn't be seen as a failure. It's simply seen as, I didn't book the job. That's not failing. That's just not being picked for the job. Doesn't mean failure. And I think it's so easy to equate that. If I didn't book the job, I failed the audition. No, you did a great job on the audition. We sent it forward and you simply just didn't book the job.
Yeah, you got the audition. That's a win right there.
Yeah. Please use your therapy sessions for something bigger than not getting a call back.
Well, right, because we receive so many submissions in the first place before we even request the audition. So again, to receive the request for the audition, it means that you've been narrowed down from a large group of people, a larger group of people, and then getting to the callback. Again, huge bonus. Like thinking about as many videos that have been seen for you to actually get a callback is amazing. And especially on commercials, because we see so many more people than you would see on an indie feature or on a TV series.
I'm going to pause this right here. If you're loving this conversation, the rest of this episode is available exclusively on Patreon. We go deeper into the real audition stories, the hard lessons, and the unfiltered behind-the-scenes conversations you won't hear anywhere else. Join us at patreon.com/castingconfidential to hear the full episode and get access to bonus content, extended interviews, and our private community. If you're serious about understanding how casting really works, I'll see you inside Patreon.
Greatest podcast in television and film with Rose Rosen, CSA, and all the friends. Bringing you Casting Confidential. Casting, that's essential. Casting, so eventful. Kinda tune in to close friends, chillin' with Rose. We call it Casting Confidential. Get a notepad ready, grab a pen and pencil. For magic to jot down, tell a friend too. A wonderful podcast in TV and film, we call it Casting Confidential. Let's go.